Okay, it is 5:30. Lauren, are we ready?
Yes, sir. We are live on YouTube now.
Okay, well then I will go ahead and call this meeting to order. And before we start, I would like to, we need a motion and a second and a vote to approve the Zoom format. And I would entertain a motion to approve this format tonight.
I'll make that motion that we approve the Zoom format.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross, I think was first. Is there any discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, you all should have received a copy of the minutes by email. I know I got mine email. Is there a motion to approve and dispense with the reading?
I make that motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second by Commissioner
I'll
Taylor.
second.
Second by Commissioner Taylor. Are there any additions or corrections to said minutes? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Are there any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, we've got about 5 amendments transfers tonight, and I will start if everybody has. This is general fund, GFFY 2021-13, and this is other contracted services, and this is under administration of justice. And Justin, I'll let you speak on this a little bit, but my understanding this is the same as one of the previous. We had an extended stay at a mental evaluation facility, and that is our responsibility to pay.
That is correct. Yes.
Okay. Justin, I know we've already had a couple of these, but do you recollect in past years that we have had any of these? And I know if they are, now this is my understanding, if it's a state inmate, then the state is required to pay. This is only in the event of a misdemeanor or something of that effect.
That's correct. Yes. But as far as remembering any previous ones, no, I do not remember. I know these are the first ones since my tenure as director, but I don't recall any prior to that in the 6 years before.
Okay. Well, this is a situation that I'm not really happy with, but we don't have a choice in this matter. This is something that's handed down to us. It comes from the courts, and we really don't have a decision to make in this other than approve it. So I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. And I will open the floor for discussion.
Yes. Who makes this order to commit someone? Is it by the judge?
Yes, it is one of the judges.
Okay. Okay. Well, as he makes this decision to send this person to a mental facility, does he have? Is there anybody else that he talks to on a situation like this?
Unfortunately, I wouldn't know. I'm not involved in that part of the process. I'm not sure if someone else who's on the call might have more information.
Okay. Okay. That's all my question is.
Talking about
Okay.
what else the judge might speak to. They'll have a hearing anytime anyone's involuntarily committed. So there'll be a lot of players involved in making that call.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think most of those people in the very back of their minds are thinking, about what the monetary cost is for the rest of the taxpayers.
Well, again, like I say, this is something that we really don't have any control over. I wish we did, but this is something that is almost like completely out of our hands. Is there any more discussion? Okay, if not, we'll do a voice vote, and if there's any opposition, we'll do a roll call. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Is there any opposed? Okay, if not, motion passes. Okay, the next item would be a transfer, and this is GFFY 2021-14. And this is for the psychological personnel at the jail. This falls under the jail line item, and basically creating a line item for the psychological personnel, which would be line item 124. And this is coming from other contracted services in the total of $65,000. Do I hear a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ross. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Savage. Is there any discussion?
This was the, we put this out here a while back. Is this a regular employee? Is this going to be a contracted service?
It's a contracted service.
Okay. Is this one that's your mental health?
Yes.
Okay.
And this is, as we spoke earlier, but this is going to be for a period of 1 year. And Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, this contract only goes through this fiscal year. Is that correct?
I believe the terms of the bid were for 1 year of service. So
Okay. So it doesn't have
I
anything to
think that
do
it
with.
would be from one calendar year, not
Okay.
the fiscal year.
Okay. All right. All right. Is there any more discussion? Okay, if not, we'll do a voice vote, and if there any opposition, we'll do a roll call. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Okay, the next item is from the ambulance fund, AFFY 2021-1. And this is a transfer in the amount of $6,466. And my understanding is the motor vehicle that is being assembled is, or has been, there was some increased cost incurred during the manufacture of that, and they are moving that from health equipment to motor vehicles. Justin, I think you spoke to Preston on this, and Preston, I don't know if Preston's on, but yeah, I think Preston is. Preston, could you speak to that, please?
Yes, sir. Yeah, what that is, in our budget on line item 718, that's for motor vehicles. And in that line item, we've done $110,000 for the last 5 to 6 years. So this is on a remount that we're doing for this year. We've done one every year the last 5 years. And on those, they've been coming in. I think our first one was around $98,000. It slowly keeps going up. We put that out on bid. Bids were received a week or so ago, and the lowest bid we got in safety approved bid was for $116,466. I spoke with the Select Tech in Shelbyville, and they said a lot of it was due to the increase in the price of the vehicle and just the price of material right now. So what we had proposed was on our health equipment on line 735 to move the 6466 from that over to motor vehicles to cover the differences for the remount.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Preston. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make that motion.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Is there any discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I just want to make a little bit of discussion after we make the vote and have, since we got Preston on the line,
Okay.
or John, either one, let them speak about our new ambulance that we just got and that we actually got an upgrade, and I'll let them explain that after we do our voting, please.
Okay, all right. Thank you, Mr. England. Are there any more, is there any more discussion before we vote? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. The next one is an amendment, and it is the ambulance fund as well, AFFY 2021-2. And this is under 55130 ambulance emergency medical services, and this is liability insurance. And this is an increase in the cost of liability insurance. And I spoke with Justin this today. And Justin, I think that you said this is exactly what they needed as far as an increase to cover that insurance.
It is, yes.
Justin, this was put out to bid, correct?
Yes, it was.
How many bids did we get on that?
2.
2 bids. Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. I entertain a motion to approve.
Motion. Savage.
Motion by Commissioner Savage. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Commissioner England. All right. I'll open the floor for discussion. Preston, I've got one question. Preston, I think I talked to Justin today, and I think we had to do an amendment to cover a little bit of a shortfall in that last year. Is that correct?
We have, and that was my mistake. On our last budget, I did not increase that line item. I think maybe the last 2 years we went over.
Okay.
And part of that also, initially under that 85,000, we had 8 ambulances. Now we've been able to add that 9th ambulance, so there's 9 ambulances on it, and then there's 4 other vehicles, 2 of which we're not using right now. But we have added an extra ambulance to it, so that's also contributed to the increase.
Okay.
Right.
So the increase stands to reason. Okay. All right. Yeah. Bring that up to us come budget time. We need to try to get that corrected, but I'm sure you will. And you do a good job on your budget. So is there any more discussion? Okay. If not, all in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. If not, motion carries. And then we'll move on. And this is from the drug fund, DFFY 2021-1. We have already reviewed this in financial management. And I think Sheriff Myers is here with us tonight. But what this basically is taking money from the drug fund to buy 2 vehicles. And I was absolutely amazed at financial management that Tommy was going to be able to buy 2 new vehicles at $37,100 till I found out that he was buying 2 used vehicles. But I'll let Sheriff Myers speak to that if he would.
I don't believe he's on the call tonight.
Okay, I was mistaken. Maybe I saw Tommy Savage's name, but basically we discussed this in financial management, and these are 2 used vehicles to be purchased out of the drug fund, and that's what we do from time to time. It's not unusual to purchase vehicles out of the drug fund, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Ross. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner England, I think. Okay, I'll open the floor for discussion. Is there any discussion?
What type of vehicles are these?
They're going to be used in undercover investigations. So I think it would probably be best if we didn't say what they were.
Okay.
I'll say these are regular cars or vehicles or SUVs. They're not
They're
actual.
not patrol cars, no.
I got you. Okay. Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, is there any more discussion? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. Justin, do you have anything else before we discuss what we've been looking at today?
No, I do not. Those are all the budget amendments that I had prior to this afternoon.
Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, well, it has been recommended that Budget and Finance review a request that has been passed on from the Safety Committee. And I guess the best thing to do is to have Mr. Director Denny to explain what the request is. Preston, if you would.
Okay. What we had requested was to do a $750 bonus for all of our full-time personnel, and do $375 for our active part-time. And like I said, that was the active ones that's worked in the last month or so. Strictly off of those figures, and on the salary side, it was $31,500, and then Justin was figuring close to $40,000 with all the other benefits that will have to be paid on it. The way that we presented this was to move money from our fund balance. Our fund balance is $970,000. To start the budget year out, we have to maintain a $380,000 balance. And so we were asking, to move run that over. I know there has been some issues and some concerns with that. Payroll in our active budget we're working on our payroll for medical personnel for the 131, and then the 119 on our bookkeepers. The money is there that we could do these bonuses out of, but with COVID and we've had 4 employees out with it, I don't know. I may have 10 out in the next week. We just don't know. And I'd spoke with Justin about it, and we felt the safest thing was to move the money from our fund balance over to the active budget. I'm good with doing it either way. Like I said, we presented it to the safety committee. They agreed with us, and so we brought it on to y'all. Our guys work hard. With this COVID stuff, we don't know what's going to happen in the next few weeks. I personally had it myself. It didn't affect me. Other people have it and it affects them. 2 of the people that work with us has had it. It really didn't affect them. The other one was sick with it for a while. So we just don't know. We may have some extra overtime right now based off of what we've spent. It's looking like we're going to have somewhere around $180,000 or $200,000 in payroll if nothing goes wrong. So that would by far cover this. I'm more willing to do it any way you want to. It's just my employees have asked for something, and so I'm here to try to see what we can do for them. So I guess I'll turn it back over to y'all, and
Okay.
I'll
All right.
be happy to answer anything or discuss anything that y'all want.
Okay. Before we go any further, I would like to ask legal a question, Mr. Bratcher. To do this in this format, or basically to bring from the fund balance to go into a bonus, Mr. Bratcher, what are your feelings on that? I know you did a little research on it today. What's your opinion on that?
Yes, hello. So bonuses, of course, are compensation. Typically, they'd be paid out of payroll, and Director Denny can do that if he has payroll to do it. If you want to make a transfer out of another type of fund, in this case, the fund balance, you're going to have to do it by vote. So it's going to have to be something that's going to be approved by the entire commission in order to make it happen.
Right, right. But to your opinion, Robert, there's nothing, are there going to be any issues if we bring this from the fund balance, even with the vote? Is that going to make everything completely acceptable and fine? I mean, no red flags, no issues with comptroller or anything like that?
No, I don't think there's any legal bar to doing this.
Okay.
Not the, there shouldn't be a regular habit of moving money from one fund to the other that are completely unrelated. We might start to see comptroller findings in the future if that becomes a very
Prevalent.
very common occurrence.
Common.
But one-time thing, I don't think it's going to be an issue.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. And I'm sure that this committee has several questions to ask. So before we start discussing, I would entertain a motion to approve. And I'll make that motion to open discussion. Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Ross. Okay, I will open the floor for discussion.
Director Denning,
Yes, sir.
this is Tommy Savage.
Hey,
I know for a fact your department does a great job. My family has unfortunately used your services many times in the past. They're both deceased now. I think there's people walking around today because of your department, and you're doing a good job financially right now. But if your department was not in good financial shape right now, and one of the other departments was, and they were going to get a bonus, how would your people feel with the stress and the dangers and stuff that you're in? I just want your opinion on that.
I mean, obviously that they wouldn't, they would still say, well, why can't we have it also? I think that's kind of human nature. And I mean, nothing against anything, and we've talked about this, and it, part of this comes back to with the school system, this is the same bonus they done, kind of the same structure they used, and the teachers were given that, because of savings, and due to COVID, some money wasn't used that they had initially had budgeted. And that's kind of the same place we're coming from. 5-6 years ago, our fund balance was less. We work hard every year. We do everything we can do to save money. And, and that fund balance is a result of us doing that. And, and that's why we're asking for it. I understand that there may be a department that can't do that. I would be willing to work as another department to see if there was something we could do to help with that, maybe, even. But, for the time being, the people of the department, I'm asking for them.
Well, I respect that. But, we don't represent just one department. We have to represent all the departments. And every department will say that they are stressed and they're overworked. And, and you've got the world weight on your shoulders. I know that. And your department does, but so does all the other safety departments. You just name one of them. I've talked to all of them, and they all have stress, and they all feel like they're overworked and underpaid. And that's where I'm getting at. If we did that for yours, you're going to open up a can of worms, and we're going to have to do it for everybody. And that's where I'm coming.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner Savage. Does anybody else have any comments that they'd like to make?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Ing.
I somewhat agree with Tommy, and but I will commend Preston, for what he is doing, and he is taking care of his people. I brag on him all the time to everybody. It's not him. He'll tell you that. He'll tell you it's his whole department and his supervisors and what have you. And we are so fortunate to have as good ambulance service as we have. And we've probably got, in my opinion, one of the top ones in Tennessee. But getting back to the question, I'm kind of like Tommy. If we do it for one, I'm worried about doing it. I want to do it for all with some things. So I've got a question for Justin, and I hope he can hear me. But the other night, when we kind of tossed this around or just shooting off figures, I wondered, Justin, have you pinpointed it down to where you have accurate numbers if we did this for everyone?
I have.
Okay.
The general fund, if we, now I did make some assumptions when I did my numbers. I assumed that we would not do this bonus for commissioners or people who are only on a committee of some kind, like the election commission or the planning committee. If you want me to change those numbers, that won't take me long to fix it. But as far as active duty employees in the normal day-to-day operations, for the general fund, salaries and benefits, everything included, for the 750, 375 bonus would be about $192,000. Sanitation would be just a little over 18,000. And then if we did it for the highway as well, it'd be just under 17,000.
Mr. Cotton, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Are those numbers figured with the ones who have already received a raise? Or can we eliminate that?
I mean, I can move them out.
I would like for that to be, I don't think it's fair to get two raises.
Okay, give me just a second.
Hey, Justin, I was getting me a piece of paper to write these numbers on. This is the amounts with the taxes and all that figured in this correctly?
Correct.
Okay, thank you. And Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask another question, just I guess as a refresher for me.
Yes, sir.
I was listening to Miss Christy Ross there mention the ones that had gotten a raise. How many departments and who are they that got raises this year? And you may not know that. I don't know do you know that as well?
Yes, looks like it was certain members of the highway department and Miss Mara's office and Miss Scott's office. I'm sorry, Commissioner England, I think I was on mute, but you didn't hear anything I just said, did you?
Yes, I heard it. You was fine.
Okay.
I was thinking about that for a second. So, and they were able to do that themselves, and they did it within their own salary budget item, I guess what I'm trying to say.
Yes, and those were raises and not bonuses. Those were actually raises.
And another thing, I'm assuming, how much did they get on per hour per raise?
I don't know that number.
Justin would have to look into that, but
Yeah, I would have
sure
to.
it varies.
Yeah. As far as if we removed those two offices from the bonus, it would knock off about $12,000.
I just want to make sure everything is fair, and these employees certainly deserve it. Everybody works hard. We have to take care of our county employees, but it also has to be fair.
Yeah, that's a good point. Justin, if my figures are correct, that's going to bring that down to somewhere around 215,000.
For which department? Which,
If
yes.
that's the general fund, sanitation, and highway minus those who
Yes.
receive pay
Yes,
increase.
and that is an estimate.
Okay, yeah.
The report I'm using doesn't have each office broken out, so I don't remember the exact numbers of employees per office.
Okay, that's fine. And I know we're not holding you to hard numbers here.
Okay,
Okay.
for the minutes, could you go over those numbers? 192,000, and that's with the benefit, and,
Yes.
and give me the other ones.
Okay, for sanitation,
Okay,
it'll be a little over 18,000,
okay,
and the highway would be a little under 17,000.
all right, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Commissioner Taylor.
can you hear me okay? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Go ahead.
Okay. Question on some of this stuff. On some of our county employees, a lot of our offices or fee office, stuff like that. I know during this process, I know we voted to continue to pay them even if they had to be off for a few days. You know, like I know some of them been doing that like a swing, like work a day, off a day, work for 2 days, off a few days. You know, that I'm on the fence about this little deal right here just because I agree with Tommy about opening up a can of worms across the county. And I agree with Christy too. We want to be fair with everybody, but I know, you know, the EMS, none of them took off except unless they did get sick or they was exposed to the COVID. And that's one reason that I would like to see them get it. But then I also understand that, you know, by opening up a can of worms, we do want to be fair with everybody. But, you know, I know up at the administrative building, a lot of the offices up there, a lot of the people in there were off several days throughout the last several months, just because that's the way it had to be, and that's fine. But, you know, they were also paid for those days off. I know in my line of work, I don't work, I don't get paid. And that's fine. I'm glad that we voted to do that because we do need to take care of our employees. But I know EMS continued right on working every day and doing their shifts just like normal, and they're hands-on, you know, fighting it day in and day out. And so that's one reason I want to be for it. But then I also understand that the trouble we deal with whenever we give somebody one thing and not give somebody the other, kind of like with the school system, I've heard a lot of complaints from county employees, you know, they got this and we didn't. And, you know, sometimes the money's not there to do things. And I know a lot of people don't understand that. They don't see the things that we see as commissioners, especially being on budget and finance. I've learned a lot myself from being on this committee. But that's kind of where I stand with it. I mean, I want to see them get it because I do know that they've been in there fighting since day one and dealing with it. And then we have other county employees that have had days off throughout the work week and continue getting paid for. And I just want them to remember that.
Yeah, that's a good point, Commissioner Taylor. We want to add to that, you know, sheriff's departments is no different. They've had a lot of challenges, and I know, as far as I know, highway department, sanitation continued on business as usual. I don't think they did many shutdowns. So with that goes along with what you're saying. I know there are a lot of people here deserving because they have there have been a lot more duties and responsibilities incurred because of this COVID pandemic. But I'm with you. I'm not against giving raises, and I want to be fair. But on the other hand, the boss, when it comes down to this, the boss is the taxpayer in Warren County. And I try to put myself in the position as to say, well, what would the boss want? And I know that in my business, I want to make sure that all my other needs are met before I proceed to go any further. And if there's money left, then yes, if there are expenditures that are needed, or bonuses or pay increases or whatever, then there it is, and we can do it. My concern, and I spoke to Justin about this today, and right now the numbers in the budget look great, only due to CARES Act money and governor's money that came in, and some savings that we've incurred because of shutdowns and whatnot. But that's basically the reason that our budget looks good right now. but we have only completed a quarter of our fiscal year. And my concern is where we're going to be next year, according to Justin. And Justin does a great job with the numbers, and I believe he's accurate and spot on as long as the trends continue. But my concern is where we're going to be at budget time next year. And my major concern is that right now we're just going by next fiscal year, we're going to be 2 years from a tax increase. And if we were to have a shortfall, and like I say, Justin's numbers are saying that we're not, but we were a lot closer last year than we projected at the end of the year after all the accounts were closed. We were really cutting it close. I mean, really close. And we made some necessary cuts in the budget just to get to that point. And my concern is that when we get to budget next year and we can't make it happen, and the county commission doesn't have the intent, I guess you could say, to vote in another tax increase, and we come up with a shortfall, we got a couple of choices. And Executive Haley brought those up last time before the tax increase. We're going to have to cut services, or we're going to have to do layoffs. And I'm not being a doomsday picture painter here, because according to the budget right now, everything's looking great, but we are definitely in unprecedented times. We've never seen anything like this. And I can say from a personal standpoint, our economy, our business, our line of work is outstanding right now. I don't really understand it, but the fact of the matter is everything's rocking along really good right now, but we've still got 3 quarters to go. And my concern is that we spend this money right now, and 3 quarters later, the taxpayer is going to be looking at us saying, you mean to tell me that you gave bonuses, you spent this, you spent that, and now you don't have money to cover the budget? And I just don't want to be irresponsible. If we get blamed, let the blame fall on me. I'll take the blame, but I just don't want to be irresponsible and then come up at the end in 3 more quarters and say, hey, we've got a shortfall. And I would be more than happy, and I'll agree with what everybody has said about Preston. Preston has been one of the best things that's happened to this ambulance service. He has absolutely worked at this ambulance service and the budget like it's his own budget. He has done a great job. He's got a great team that's working with him out there. And if anybody deserves a pat on the back in the Warren County government, it's Preston. And I'm not saying that Preston is a good friend of mine. We've been friends for a long time, and I'm not saying this because he's a friend of mine, but it was absolutely the right decision to make to appoint him as director of ambulance service. And I don't want him to think that that I'm against him, because I'm definitely for him. But I just feel like that if we could wait till budget time next year and then and say that we are going to, if the money is there, we are going to give the county employees a $750 bonus. That's an opinion, and I'll stop. And I know there's more comments, and I would open the floor for any more discussion.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes, Commissioner Sapp.
I agree that time of the year is a big factor right now. And there's an old adage that there's a lot of water to go under the bridge between now and next summer. And if this was in June and we could see the end of the tunnel, that's not the end, but you've got a lot better insight of what's coming, what's going to happen by then. It would be totally different. I would have a different feeling, but there's so many things that could happen between now and then. And these are times that are untested. Nobody can tell us about something like this. We're writing history as it happens, and it's scary. But I just think that the timing right now is, things look good on books right now, but we don't know how they will look, get closer to budget time next year. I do have another question for our county attorney. Robert, are you there?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. If this one department was to get the bonuses and other departments didn't have it within their budget that they could get it, could this result in a lawsuit against the county if a person so chose?
No, I don't think there could be any legal liability for choosing to give a bonus to a particular department over another.
Okay.
I think that would be something that would be perfectly defensible from a legal perspective. It would simply be a political question about whether or not it's the right thing to do.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'll add something to that, Tommy. I actually, when we voted for this school rate, the school bonus last meeting, I spoke to the entire commission, and I was being very sincere. I want to see us be very responsible with our money, which I know the budget is already passed, and we're in through the first quarter of it virtually, but I want to make sure that next year that this is a number one priority, because I know the school system is a completely different entity, but we do, from a financial standpoint, we're consolidated, and this is money that they received, and they made the recommendation. I still have some issues, but there was more good than bad with this. But like I say, I'm not responsible for their budget, but I am, as a commissioner, I'm 1/24th of the responsible parties involved in this budget, and I just want to make sure that the taxpayer is not disappointed with the end result when we get to, like I say, when we get to budget next year. And if Justin's numbers are still the same, we're going to be in great shape. But if not, the burden's going to be on this Budget and Finance Committee. I know the final vote comes to the full commission, but I do realize that a recommendation from the Budget Finance Committee has a lot of bearing on the decision that's made in the courtroom. So I just want to make sure that we make the right recommendation. I know, like I say, I'm 1/24th of this vote, but I'm just apprehensive because I know last year, and I know some people are still skeptical, but at the end of budget last year, we felt like we had the opportunity to give possibly a small bonus. And as soon as all the accounts were closed out and all the receipts came in and we got a final number, we were at 10.1% of fund balance, and 10% was the minimum. So we never know the exact answer till we get all the numbers in. All of this is based on projections. And like I say, I'm not hiding anything. The economy in the business that I'm in, it's great, but everything's subject to change, and we have no idea what this economy is going to look like 6 months from now. We're still, like I say, in unprecedented times. We're in an election battle. We don't know. For the first time in my lifetime, we're beyond an election and still don't know who the president is. We've got an idea, but we still don't know, and we have no idea what this pandemic, how it's going to pan out. We don't know. Hearing a lot of things about vaccines, and a lot of people apprehensive about vaccines, but there's surely going to be an effect on the economy. I just don't know when. I don't know how long it's going to be before it gets here, but that's just my concern. And I'll shut up. If anybody else has any comments, please speak up.
I've got a question for Justin again. Give us that final, since you've sat there and run the numbers, what would that be total? 200 and what?
Which set of numbers? Sorry.
I'm sorry, for the final, if we did it countywide.
Countywide. You mean include ambulance or not
No.
include ambulance?
Yes, sir. Yeah, and I'm like Christy though. The ones that got a pay increase, we exclude them at this point.
Well, if everybody all told, with the exception of the two offices, would be about 258,000.
258. Okay,
Yeah, we jumped up a lot when we threw the ambulance back in there.
I got you. Okay, thank you.
We weren't talking about them earlier.
I got you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. And I will clarify that the motion on the floor is to accept the recommendation from the safety committee. I know we've got off on another subject, including all these departments and where money might come from. But the original motion was to accept Preston's recommendation to bring that out of his fund balance for his department only.
And hey, this is Preston again. And like I said, we do have the money in our payroll at this time. We were just going toward the safer side of doing the fund balance. I do not have a problem doing this straight through our payroll. I mean, we're willing to do either way. And like I said, all county employees are important. All the county employees deserve something. You know, and, you know, Tommy mentioned if we, you know, if we do this, it's open a can of worms. But with the school system, they're still county employees. And I mean, it's, you know, my employees come to me and saying, why do we not get this also if we have the money? And like I said, I don't have any hard feelings toward anybody, and any way you vote, it's y'all's choice. So like I said, we're just coming to you and asking.
And I spoke to Preston earlier. We spoke on the phone, and I told Preston that this is nothing personal. And if I were in Preston's position, Preston is the director at the ambulance service. He feels like his people are very competent and do a good job, and he's just fighting for his employees. So Preston, don't think that that there are any hard feelings or anything for you coming and bringing this, because you're just doing what you're supposed to do for your employees. When you feel like they deserve something, you need to speak up, or you wouldn't be a very good director, and we know you are a good one. So any more discussion on this?
I'd like to ask Justin something about this.
Okay.
Justin, technically, are the school system employees county employees?
I mean, it's weird. Yes and no. Some of them are quasi-state employees, the teachers, because most of their salary comes from the state, but they still fall under the county umbrella for purchasing, insurance, and all that. So
The county is a funding body,
yes,
but like Mr. Haley, nor you cannot write up a teacher. You cannot tell a teacher or a school system employee what to do. You have to go through the proper channels.
correct. I think the same thing is the highway is the same way.
Yeah.
And to an extent, I can't, I mean, each fund kind of stands on its own. The two that are most separated would be highway and schools,
Yes.
just historically.
Mhm. But the county is a funding body for the school system, but we don't hire their employees or tell them who they can hire nor fire.
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
And again, I'm trying to stay on topic, which I know all this is the equivalent of a raise for anybody or everybody, but the motion was to accept Preston's recommendation for his raise. And again, I'm more than willing, if this, once we vote on this motion, I'm more than willing to open the floor for discussion. You know, if we want to reconsider for every employee and a different funding method, whatever the case may be, I'm open to suggestions. I'm not saying that once we vote for this, if it's a yay or a nay, that this ends the discussion. I want to give everybody on this committee their chance to air their grievances and give their opinion, because we're doing this for the county employees. This is not about us. I think that most people know from the pay that the commissioners receive that we're not doing this for a living. That's for sure. So is there any more discussion before we vote on this? Okay, if no more discussion, I'm going to clarify one more time. What we are voting on is that Preston give his employees a $750 bonus, and that is coming out of his fund balance. And that is what, and like I say, we can reconsider after this vote, but this is what the motion in the second was for. Unless somebody, I'm open if anybody wants to rescind the motion or second, but right now, this is what we're voting on. And if there's no more discussion, I think what we would do is, I think the best thing to do is Commissioner Savage, if you want to call the roll, and that'll work for me.
Okay. Commissioner England,
Yes.
Commissioner Ross,
Yes.
Commissioner Rubley,
No.
Commissioner Savage votes no. Commissioner Taylor,
No.
motion fails 2-3.
Okay, and again, that, that motion was for that to be pulled out of the fund balance. And right now, I want to open the floor for discussion. We don't have a motion on the floor, but I just want to have a conversation. And I spoke to Justin about this earlier. In the event that we were to give a raise, and especially from Preston's department and the sheriff's department, this CARES Act money was kind of intended for uses such as that. If there are safety issues or whatnot, this was used to cover or compensate issues due to the COVID-19. And as speaking to Justin, it appears now, I know the money is there for the CARES Act at this time to, and this is basically what we're looking at here is savings incurred. We couldn't directly go, there's some things we can't directly go and spend CARES Act money for, but the savings incurred with the money that we applied. Justin, if you would describe to the committee what the CARES Act money was obligated to or where it was directed.
As the committee voted on a few items, we made a few purchases along the way for small things here and there, but the majority of it was for reimbursement for wages from direct service staffing. Primarily the health department, I mean, not the health department, sorry, the sheriff's department, their wages as frontline employees. That was the simplest way for us to recoup the money.
Right. Okay. And that was, and like I say, that was a big lump sum, and it wasn't picking and choosing through the budget, trying to find these little items here and there. This was one of the easier ones. It was the no-brainer, if you will. So, and as I said again, you know, it looks like right now, and Justin, we spoke about it today. The budget looks like we're trending really good. But there again, I spoke with some county commission association representatives, and the question was, why, you know, so early are we looking at a pay increase? And I do understand that it's because of the situations that have occurred this year that we've never seen in our lifetime, and hopefully and prayerfully it'll never happen again. But that's kind of where I am right now. I would love to see them get a bonus, but I would love to see it once we get the budget prepared next year. And I want to make that a priority with budget and finance. Like I say, I'm one vote on this committee and I'm one vote on the commission, but that's something that I would definitely like to see. I want to see it happen. And I made that comment the other night, but I just think right now, while we've still got 3 quarters to go, I'll agree with what Commissioner Savage said. With 3 quarters to go, I'm just a little apprehensive to go ahead and start letting $200-something thousand go that may be a necessity come budget time. So,
Mr. Chairman,
any other discussion? I'd open the floor for discussion. Say we're discussing right now.
yes, Mr. Chairman, I would like to clarify because it's been said both ways. Are we talking a raise or a bonus?
And I apologize, Commissioner Ross, if I say raise. This is and Justin. I spoke to Justin today, and he had to clear that up once. But what I am speaking of is a bonus, not a raise. I apologize. That's my fault.
That's okay. Thank you so much.
All right. Any more discussion?
Hey, Mr. Chairman, I'll agree with what you said. I want this committee to really look at all the numbers, and we need to, if Justin numbers and everything falls in line, we need to make sure you can call it make sure we say bonus, but I want to see our county employees get something, and you can call it, sometimes companies give people vacation bonuses, and, people look at this as a Christmas bonus, but, we can look at that as a vacation bonus. But I want to see if we're on track, I want to make sure we take care of our county employees, just as you've stated.
Yeah, and again, stating that, there are no unimportant county employees. Every county employee, when they go home at night, their pay is the most important pay in the county, and I realize that. But the duties of the ambulance service are paramount in the county. I do realize that, but also, then we can step down to the sheriff's department, and you've got all the people at the jail, all the corrections officers and whatnot. And like I say, if we're going to do this, I don't want to do it as a department here and there and start picking and choosing, because no matter whose department it is, they feel like their employees deserve a bonus if any other employees get a bonus. And that was one of the reasons that I was so apprehensive with the school bonus, because I knew that it wasn't going to feel fair to the county employees, and I understand that, but I also hope that county employees understand that Commissioner Taylor brought that up earlier. When Executive Haley brought to the commission the idea of continuing pay for employees should they not be able to come into work, I think it was a unanimous vote. If I'm not mistaken, it was unanimous. And I hope the county employees remember that fact, that, I know some of the county employees had to come to work, Preston's people, the sheriff's department, and some of the people in the tax offices at the administrative building. There were people that had to come no matter what. And, that didn't feel fair for people who were getting to stay home. And there's just absolutely no way to be completely fair across the board, because, some offices have more responsibilities than others. Some employees in offices have more responsibilities than others. And it's a balancing act for us to try to be fair to everybody. And I don't want to discount the services of anybody and put precedence over one over the other. But I do know that our priority, I might say, but I do know that Preston services, his office, his department services are crucial to Warren County. And I don't want him to think that we're trying to overlook him, but in the grand scheme of things, I'm trying to look out for our budget and make sure that we're going to meet that budget this fiscal year. And once we do, I'm going to be more than happy. And I'm going to be the first one to stand up and say, I make a motion that we give a raise if possible. And hopefully that's what it's going to be by the end of this fiscal year. We're going to be able to give a raise, implement it, and it's going to be permanent instead of just a bonus. And I know because of these uncertain times, that's why bonuses are being brought up, because we don't want to put a reoccurring expense in the budget that we're not able to cover in the future. And I appreciate the fact that that's what they're bringing to the Budget and Finance Committee. But even with that, I'm still a little concerned of where we're going to be in 9 months. So I'll try to stop talking. So is anybody else have any comment?
Did you make a motion, Commissioner Ridley?
No, I did not, Commissioner Savage.
Okay.
I just for discussion.
It's just discussion. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, I have a question. Is there
Yes.
I agree with you. I would like to see the county as a whole, all of the employees get a raise. They are all very deserving and they work hard. My question is there a date that we have in mind, a target date that Mr. Cotton and yourself or this committee feels like we can look to get something a little more solid for them, so that they know that it's just not talk? Are we looking like May? Is that a good target date to say, let's reevaluate it then? How does it look at that point? Because they really do deserve it. They work so hard.
Oh, I agree. I think, and this is
a little more tangible out there.
Right. Well, this is just my opinion, and Justin is the numbers guy, and I get so much information from him. Without Justin, I would look like a quote unquote knucklehead a lot of times. But my opinion in my business, once I'm through that third quarter, I've got 3 quarters to look back on, and if the fourth quarter is bad, then the other 3 good quarters will be something that, will help to balance it out if we do have a bad fourth quarter. So my opinion is once we get through 3 quarters, if we're good, I would be perfectly fine with going ahead and getting that going then. That's just my opinion. And Justin, I think she asked that question to you as well. If you don't mind, Mr. Ross.
We'll certainly have plenty of opportunity to discuss it come March and April, because we'll be starting budget talks already. It would be my recommendation that we kind of keep this in mind as we go through consolidated budget discussions, whether we start there or end there, because it will have a bearing on our projected ending fund balance for the end of next fiscal year.
Yes, if we start that.
End of third quarter, beginning of fourth quarter would be a good time financially, and as far as getting a good read on where we're going to be at the end of the year. That would be my recommendation.
Okay. All right. Commissioner Ross, any more comments? I didn't mean to interrupt if I did.
Oh, no, you didn't. Thank you.
Okay. Are there any more comments? And I can't shut up, but I talked to Director Cotton, and as we said earlier, I think that in this situation, probably, and this is just depends on the wishes of the commission and this committee as recommendation, but I think the CARES Act money maybe would be a better place to do this. My opinion, I just really don't want to start delving into fund balances in each department, and that could become a habit. And if we did this through the CARES Act money, then Preston's fund balance would not be affected because of this raise or bonus. But this would be, I think, to me, it would be more fair across the board if we tried to do this from the CARES Act rather than particular fund balances, because we could go to 2 or 3 departments and say, hey, if you're willing to give your employees a bonus, we'll take it out of your fund balance. But then you've got other departments who don't have a fund balance, not saying that they don't deserve the raise, but that just the way the government's structured, some don't have that fund balance in place. But I think it'd be more fair if we did it through the CARES Act rather than trying to do it from individual budget fund balances. So any more discussion tonight? Is that Commissioner Taylor? I'm sorry.
No, that was Commissioner Ross. I agree with you on that. I think it needs to be CARES Act.
All right.
I have a question, Justin, please.
Yes.
Justin, the CARES Act money, how much is left in that account?
Somewhere in the neighborhood of $575,000. I can't give you a hard number right now. I'd have to look.
Okay.
But
at one time there was 2 accounts, and I know we bought a lot of stuff and spent a lot of money. One was CARES Act money, and the
governor's grant money.
Governor's, yes.
Yeah. The governor's money has about $689,000 left.
Okay, it's governor's.
Yeah.
And I think, Justin, if we spoke today, but I think those 2 combined that we still have that we have not appropriated or allocated, that's somewhere in the neighborhood of 10% of the budget, correct?
Yeah, pretty close.
Yeah. Okay. So, question, does anybody want to make a motion and if to reconsider at a certain date? I'll open the floor for motions. If somebody would like to make a motion that we, and I'm not trying to lead the committee, but if we want to reconsider this at a certain date and time, I'm open for requests.
Well, I would like to ask Justin what would be the latest date or the earliest date that we could see the light at the end of the tunnel where we could maybe do this and take his recommendation on that date before we made the motion.
Well, as I think Justin indicated, the end of the third quarter would be a good time. About what time would that be? Can anybody tell me? I can look at the calendar and maybe.
April.
Okay.
Third quarter ends end of March.
Okay, that's right. March 3rd.
So,
Yeah.
I mean, I can start bringing, I can start bringing my budgetary projection sheets. I can start putting them, I'll be starting them sometime soon anyway. I
Okay.
can start bringing those to the regular meetings if y'all would like to see them, to give you a better idea of where we're at.
Okay.
So my monthly financial statements from that are in the commission packet, sorry, also have
Mhm.
they don't have projections in them, but they give you a pretty good idea of where we are versus where we were last year
Right. Yeah.
with the
Yeah.
newer format we've got.
And that's a really good one. That really simplifies things. It's easy to find those comparisons now, and that's a good addition to our budget in our packets. That's really handy. So April 1 would have completed the third quarter, and I would open the floor if anybody would like to make a motion to reconsider that at that time. That would be perfectly fine with me. But it's up to this commission. This
I'll
committee.
make
I'm
that motion, Mr. Chairman.
I'd like
sorry.
to second the motion.
Now that will be April 1st to reconsider,
Yes, sir.
or Justin, I think, Commissioner Ross, if it's all right with you, we just motion to reconsider in April so
Yes,
that
that'd be
we're
fine.
not locked to a particular date, but we'll do that at the earliest possible time in April, and we'll
Yeah.
have those projections. And is that a second by Taylor, was it?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Is there any more discussion on that? Okay, if not, all in favor say aye.
Uh,
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Motion carries. So we will reconsider that in April. And like I say, it just depends on the recommendation that goes to the commission is going to depend on this committee. But as of right now, I think we can be looking towards getting that money in place through the care. If we do it through the CARES Act, I think that money would be the best money to obligate to this. It just makes sense since it is CARES Act money for these situations. But I do want to see our employees get a raise. I'm not just saying that to kick the can down the road. I do want to see them get or at least a bonus. But hopefully by April we'll be able to give a bonus and then a pay raise come budget time. That would be optimistic, and that's what we need to be. So, but thank you for that, and we will reconsider that in the earliest opportunity in April. Is there any more business that needs to come before this committee? Okay, and once again, I'd like to thank all these department heads. We appreciate the work you do, and I don't want you to think that we're being unappreciative by not doing this. We're just trying our best to make sure that budget is in place and that we don't have any pitfalls or hazards between now and budget time next year that would cause us to be in a shortfall. But we appreciate the work you're doing, and if nobody has anything else, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Motion by Commissioner England. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Taylor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Aye. All right. Thank you, folks. Y'all have a good night.